Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 17 of Wednesdays with Ra. We are so happy to be here today with you guys. Today's episode is breaking free from past life cycles. And so we are going to talk a bit about past lives and how the life system actually works, how reincarnation works, how you can learn a bit more about the ins and outs of it. The one thing that Maggie and I like to do is we like to really pick apart everything, so we really understand how these concepts work and the dynamics behind them. And so we're hoping that tonight we can help you understand past lives a bit more, how they affect you, and how you can help heal from the past lives that are affecting you, or the bits and pieces that are affecting you from these past lives. So we also want to give a shout out to Ra. He is back from vacation, so we are very excited. We hope he enjoyed his vacation, but we are very happy that he is back. And he actually said he had a message for us. So he will be giving his message today. And other than that, where do we want to start, Maggie? Do you want to start at what you and I have been up to, or do you want to start with the full moon information?
We can start with what you and I have been up to. And if more people come in, they can hear Rob, because I think Rob wants to speak about the full moon. I asked for information about the full moon and the eclipse earlier, but they didn't give me too much. So I guess they're saving it for the channeling. So I can't speak about it too much from my human because they haven't downloaded me with anything. But Temple and I have been all kinds of busy lately, which is why we haven't been broadcasting so much. We've been asked to focus on our work. And when the higher ups tell you to focus on your work, it means you really have a lot of work to do. So Temple and I have been, together we've been viewing a lot of past lives and seeing how a lot of the patterns in this life, as it relates to us individually, as it relates to our mission, is affecting us, and how it's tying into our mission. We've had to take a lot back and look at a lot of past lives to integrate the energies and gifts that we need to go on these missions together to do our greater mission here. And I think that's probably true for many of you out there in these last weeks and months, that you've been going through a lot of difficulty. We've all been going through a lot of difficulty to release the lower energies that have been with us in many cases for many, many past lives, to come into this newer, fresher energy of the newer, fresher paradigm that we've all been, so many of us have been sent here to establish on the earth. So we've been just very busy with work. That's my take on it.
Busy is like the understatement of the year. But yeah, exactly what Maggie's been saying. For us, there's so many bits and pieces that we could talk about, but I think the most important thing that we have been doing is been able to see us in this now experience, to be able to see us in a more complete way of our thought processes, our actions, all the things that make us up in this now, and realizing that when people talk about past lives, they're missing a lot of information about what can happen as far as bringing disassociation is in my head, but not so much disassociation, but bringing up issues that sort of fester and flame into our current lives. And what a lot of us don't think about is that if we have an issue in this life, in this now life, where it's something so ingrained in us that we don't even think about it too much. It just is how we are. It just is how we act. It just is. And we don't even know where these things come from. A lot of us, especially if you're working on yourself, you sit down and you try to think, okay, so I have this problem, I have this thought, I have this feeling, I have this action that I do, and where does it come from? And sometimes it's really hard to pinpoint where these things actually come from. And so what Maggie and I have been doing is we've been picking apart our experiences, our experiences in a vast way. So we're stepping back and we're looking at like if you've all are familiar with like the old-fashioned grandma, grandpa, or great grandma and grandpa slides, that they like get the slide projector out and they go through the slides, and it's this whole ring of little slides that you have to put into the projector thing, the little tray. That's what we've been doing. So we have been viewing specifics from specific lives, specific instances from specific lives. And we've been realizing how it's not just one problem that we had in a past life that is now affecting this life. We have this same problem, or we tend to have these same problems over and over and over and over. And I think this is where people forget about looking a bit deeper. They'll say, oh, I know of this past life. I had this issue. I'm going to fix this past life. And then they say, why doesn't my issue in this current life go away? And the reason is because it's so ingrained in you. It's not just one life. And I think a lot of people miss that. That's where Maggie and I have been lately. It's been in the Akashic records, watching screens, and then having discussions about it, and almost like in a counseling kind of way, where we talk about it and then we have to work through it in the 3D, and we have to learn and we have to release. And then it's seeing where, you know, you can have 10, 20, 30, a million lives where you all have the same issue. And so it's a really deep sort of healing and understanding of how everything kind of coalesces into this one moment and this one now. And when you look at your lives like that, when you look at your now moment life, and realizing how it's not just you in this now moment of the family you grew up in, the culture that you're in, the things you learned along the way, it's bigger than that. It's everything you've been carrying over that makes up you in this now moment, reacting and learning about what is in your present circumstances now. And so it may be a little overwhelming to think about, but this is the stuff Maggie and I love. We love to pick these things apart. We love to understand them in a way in which we can better pinpoint exactly what we're healing, how we're healing, why we're healing, and then we can use it to help others work on themselves. And so that's kind of where we are. That's why we wanted to bring this past life issue up. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the different aspects, I guess, that kind of make up past lives. But we want you to feel free to ask us questions. If you have a past life, or don't have a past life that you're not aware of, or have a past life you're aware of, or more than that, have a specific issue that you're wondering where it comes from and you'd like to heal it, we'd like to help you figure out those lives, or at least a life, a place to start in which you can start looking at and seeing where these things come from. So feel free to put that in the chat. And as we go along, we will definitely tap in and see if anybody upstairs has anything to say, as well as pull our own cards. And then we'll show you too, like the last one we did, Maggie and I were showing you how we read the cards, so you have a better understanding of how you can make your own unique method for reading cards. We will show you how we got there. So that's kind of where we've been. And I think a lot of people are going through this uncomfortable phase where they know they can see this new self in front of them, and they're really having problems letting go or releasing the old self. And so we are there too. We're all working on it together. So let's talk about it.
I agree.
So let's see how many we have. 3. We have 3. Yay. So welcome, guys. Definitely say something in the chat so we know you're here. And then the first thing that I wanted to talk about, we'll wait. Like when Ra wants to come through, you let me know, and then we can give him the stage. Other than that, we'll just keep going with our outline. Yeah, sound good?
He says he can come through now, although maybe he should speak. Who knows how many people are going to come in, but if you want to wait until a bit later and we can talk some more about the past life stuff and save Raw for a bit, he's always ready.
He's really excited today too, which is exciting for us. So I think the first thing when we talk about past lives is that this is something, if you're familiar with my channel, I used to talk about a lot, but then our work kind of stopped this. And now it's very interesting how everything is kind of tagging back into my life's work, which is dealing with past lives, dealing with like twin flames. We can all talk about that later. And so one of the things I've talked about in the past briefly is about fractals, aspects, integrations, all these things. And I think it's really important for the human to realize that even though you're here now, you have a consciousness, you're just one person. There's a lot of things that actually make you up. And so when people think about past lives, they say, oh, I had this specific experience, and I was this specific person in history. And hey, hi, it's Jim Miggins. Hello. Thank you so much for commenting and letting us know you're here. That's exciting. So you are more than just your body. You are more than just your mind. But what makes up this body can be at times very complicated. It's not necessarily just one soul, just you in this body. And I think the more people know about that, the more people understand how the human works. And this is like in the book that I'm writing as well. But I think it's so important, especially when dealing with past lives. The more you know about what makes you up, what makes this human vessel up, the more you can understand and separate things, and the more you can work on yourself. So the first thing I want to talk about is fractals. There is this extra piece that can make up other people. Not everybody has these extra pieces in them, but some people do. And so this is where you see a past life, you feel a past life, and then all of a sudden you get to the other side and you're like, wait a minute, that wasn't actually my past life. I was just borrowing that past life. Let me explain how this happens. So it happens because of something called fractals. And a fractal is, at the easiest way to understand it, it is somebody else's grape from their own soul cluster grapevine put into your being at the time to help you through really, really hard things, help you through life, help you do your missions. And so what that means is, even though you weren't there to experience that past life, you actually have that grape of that person who did experience that life. So it acts as your life. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's not like just because in this now moment it's their life, you don't claim it. I mean, it's in you for a reason. Those past life memories from the fractal are there to help you persevere in this moment. So let me give you an example, just because examples make it a lot easier. So I have a very good friend that I've known since childhood, and he is his own soul, okay? But he does have a fractal of Ramses II in him. And that doesn't mean that he has like the whole soul of Ramses. What it means is that that experience that Ramses had in Egypt as Ramses II, that grape has one or two experiences from that grape put into my friend. So what that does then is that helps him. Those have to work together. The grape and the person have to work together. So you have a little bit of that soul who was Ramses in with the person who is Raul, and they have to work together in order to make things work. But Raul has the memories of Ramses II. Is that really complicated, Maggie?
No, it makes, well, Temple is much more familiar with fractals than I am. She understands it in a much greater way. But it makes sense to me. And Temple recently figured out for me, because I didn't know if I had any fractals or not. I just see myself as Maggie, the person, Maggie with Maggie's mission. And the other day we were talking and she told me, I think you have a fractal of Peter the Great. Peter the Great, right? And I was like, I don't know anything about Peter the Great. And the more that we looked him up, the more it made sense why he would be a fractal of me, because I'm a fractal within me to help me through my life, because I'm very soft and I'm very gentle and I'm very, very on the feminine side of being very watery and flowy. So this Peter the Great fractal, this little piece that makes me up that he lended to me, helps me to have that fire and that decision making and that decisiveness that I need, because my Maggie self is very feminine, I guess, very, very soft. So that little fractal helps me have the little bit of hardness and decisiveness and aggressiveness that I need to navigate through this crazy life.
That's such a great example. I totally forgot about that. But the cool thing is, so this is a really great way to help you guys understand this. So as we were talking about this, I was like, Maggie, I don't really, like, is that really? I don't know about that. And then all of a sudden, like, she got this look on her face. It was the weirdest thing. It was like Peter the Great staring out from behind her eyes, and she's like, wait a minute, I feel it. I'm hearing. Remember, you're like, I'm hearing this like Russian accent thing. And it was so strange because it was like you woke him up, right? Like didn't he say something like, thank you for finally acknowledging me?
Yeah, he said, it's about time. Thank you, Temple, for acknowledging me. I've been trying to help this girl, but she won't bring me up in her consciousness. So now I can really help her. So I guess it happens that we can have fractals of these people that kind of lay dormant for a while until the point in our lives where we need that energy. And then they make themselves known and they can kind of come to the forefront. They're not going to take over your body or anything,
right?
But I can feel his energy within me, especially when he speaks to Temple, because he and Temple had past lives together. And I can feel him looking out from behind my eyes and looking at Temple with this very, very loving look. So it's a big confirmation to me that he's a part of me. Why he hasn't come up until this last week is because I guess I didn't need him. I didn't need to have that conscious awareness of him until now, because my path is leading me to a place where I need to consciously bring those energies to the forefront and use them. Maybe I'm going to come up against some difficulty or some hard decision making. So now he's making himself known. But I think it's like that with most fractals, or at least in your experience with them. They're not always, it's not their energy in your face all the time.
Right, exactly. It's the primary soul's energy. So in Raul's case, in your case, it's your energy. It's just that they're kind of working behind the scenes and they're lending their energy slowly or where it needs to happen. But then there comes a point where you actually need them, because these fractals are contracted in when you make your life contract for this experience. And so I'm just going to assume when Maggie was upstairs making her soul contract, and we're in our group of soul family group, and I can see the councils being like, okay, Maggie, now if you stay on track in the year 2021 of the earth, you're going to come up upon, these, like, let's view what you picked. And then they would say, we would suggest that to help you along, knowing your energies, knowing what you're going to carry, knowing your core Atman, we'll talk about that in a second, that you see if you can borrow a fractal from somebody who has these traits. And then you go into your soul family and you say, hey, who wants to come along for this crazy journey on earth, and then pop up when I need you. And so I think Peter must have said, yeah, I'll give it a go. And so I find this just very interesting. I've been studying this fractal thing for well over 20 some years. And I could go on and on about it, but I think that's the basics. So The things that you need to know about it is that most of the time you get fractals. You usually would only have one fractal, sometimes two fractals. Very, very, very rarely would you get three fractals. But let's just say you have one fractal helping you. You won't know that fractal's in there unless you know yourself really well and you're able to channel. But then Maggie didn't even know he was in there either. He probably would have come out soon, but maybe I brought him out a little early. I don't know. But it's not like they're going to take over. The primary soul has the ability, first and foremost, to allow that fractal to come up and help them work. And so it gets very mathematical. There's percentages. Like there was a time when my friend Raul allowed the Ramses fractal, what did he say? 35 to 40%, or no, 55 to 60% activation within him. And then Ramses told me, he's like, and for me, that's like a takeover. But that's just Ramses. But the main soul allows that fractal to take over. And sometimes the fractal doesn't even show these past lives. If you're into past lives, if you need to feel like this is your past life and something comes up, then you can see it. I don't think you've really seen any of Peter's other than what he's allowed you to see through talking back and forth, right? Or has he shown you some experiences?
He hasn't shown me anything, but like you say, he hasn't really come to the forefront either. He came to the front because you acknowledged him, but I have not yet been in a situation where I think I need his energy that much. Maybe when it unfolds that I need it, then he will come out more and show me more things, which I think is an important thing to be said. We all have all these past lives, and maybe some of us have fractals, 1, 2, rarely 3. But it's not something that we have to use to define ourselves or say, well, I'm the fractal of Peter the Great, and that's who I am. That's this lifetime. No, that's not who I am.
I'm doing that.
I'm Maggie, and I have Peter the Great helping me, and I don't try to think about it too much because he's here to integrate into my life in the ways where I need him. He's not here to be a title for anything that I do going forward
or to take over.
Yes.
He's there to assist you. So it's basically like tag teaming with your friends, or like having that what do you call the questions where you like all go and sit and like order food, and then you have all these questions and you play this game, trivia. It's like having a trivia buddy that you can ask stuff to, and then they help you. And so this is where we get a lot of times you have all these people saying, I'm Akhenaten. I don't know who else. Anastasia. We've heard that a lot too. These are most likely fractals of these beings inside helping. So while it still looks as your past life and it's meant to help you, so please definitely use those past lives and learn from them, because you are storing them in your consciousness for a reason. That is where we get all these people saying they're so and so and so and so and so and so from history. Because once Maggie is done with this life, it's going to be another grape on her grapevine. And then when she's upstairs, she can say, hey, I went through this and I can like give you my grape and to help you out in your next one. So this is the thing, like we have so many problems on Earth with, I just had a thought. We have so many problems on Earth with things like people against one another, people having issues with people because they have different color skin, people have different color religion, all of these things. And it blows my mind because once the humans realize that we're all sharing each other in like the soul, you have helpers helping you in the soul, in your soul, it's like the whole race thing and the whole like religious thing then just becomes obsolete because we're all here trying to help each other. And I think that's one of the important things about past lives and current lives that people need to understand. We're all connected. And if we don't have fractals, those people in our soul groups and you have been all different colors, all different religions, all different planets. So to be angry at somebody because they don't share your beliefs or because they have a different color skin than you just absolutely blows my mind. And I think we have a lot of learning to do in that sphere. So without getting on a tangent, so that is what a fractal is. If you guys need me to explain this in a different way or have questions, let me know. Okay, Maggie and I can definitely do that for you. The next thing that, well, we don't even have to talk about these other ones because fractals are the main ones where you get those other past life experiences from. We can save all that other stuff for a different.
I have a question about fractals actually, because this is not an area of my specialty. I know with like other like other energies that we embody, they can come and go. Can fractals come and go, or do fractals remain with you for the fullness of the lifetime?
That's a really great question, actually. Fractals remain with you until their portion of the contract is complete. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I know that Ramses has had and has fractals in, I'm not going to give the exact number, but quite a few people in here in the world right now. And he was the higher self of someone over in your area, actually, Maggie. But because that higher self contract was complete, he was able to move out of that and then move more in a different direction of like coming to Raoul's assistance more. So he was actually able to put more of himself into that fractal because Raoul allowed it. He allowed the percentages to go up. So if the contract is not finished, no, then you have to stay there. You have to stay there. But if the contract is finished, then the fractal is free to go. And so you can probably, I don't know, I have never asked if you can like put another fractal in, but I'm sure that under certain circumstances, it probably would be possible. But does that answer your question?
It does. I didn't know that. And yeah, that is very helpful.
So I have a fractal of, this is going to be like, now everybody's going to be like, I have a fractal of so-and-so. I have a fractal of so-and-so. But my fractal story is kind of funny, I think, just because I play piano. Like I'm not great at it because I don't practice. I used to be really good, very proficient when I was younger. And I found out that let me back up. My favorite classical musician is Beethoven, like hands down. I could care less about any other classical musician. I don't care. I like Beethoven. So the day that I found out that I had a Mozart fractal in me, I just about died. And then I was like, oh, so are you going to be here to like help me with my music? And he was like, no, that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to help you with piano. I'm not here for that. I'm here to help you with divine inspiration, divine flow. And so if you guys know anything about Mozart, Mozart. He was able to just like write his music down perfectly. It was just this divine inspiration and it was like, boom. And he never had to fix it. He never had to change it in any way. It was just perfect right from the start. And so that's what he's here helping me with my apothecary lab stuff. So it's like him helping me be able to read the recipe and like just divinely know how these things are supposed to go together and where to get the information if I don't know what the information is. Or like, you know what I mean? Like how to put things together and stuff. And so it's so funny because everybody knows him for his musical talent, but that's not why he's here helping me, because you probably would get very sick of me playing piano very, very quickly. So I find that very interesting too, that here on Earth, we think of famous people, which also like that kind of drives me nuts too, but that's not what we're talking about. We think of famous people as having a specific talent. That's why they became famous. So you think of these fractals as, well, yeah, they're going to help you with like, you know, Mozart would help you with like piano or like help you with music. But no, you know, like, I don't know, Peter the Great would help you with what, building a great city or build, like, I don't know, but no, like it's more about the strength. It's more about like how to maneuver on the path. So it's not so much who we think they are in this human earth or this human life. It's more about like the technical aspects of what they're good at. Does that make sense?
It does. It's their talents, the energy behind the talents. Beethoven was a very, very talented musician because he could channel this musical information very perfectly and know how things come together.
You mean Mozart?
Mozart.
Yeah.
And it's the same energy that brings your recipes together in this very, very cohesive way. It's that ability to bring information, whether it be, or energy, whether it be, you know, apothecary stuff, musical stuff, through in a way that just comes together like this.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's the basis of fractals. And then we have this other thing that I don't think a lot of people know exists. And when I was writing my book, I thought I was the first one to come up with this. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was like, this is great. The world needs to know about this. I'm going to put a name to it. And I was like, well, I should just double check that name just in case like it's been used for something. And it was used for something. And it was going along the same lines of my thought process as well. However, with all my my understanding and studying this, I've expanded on exactly what it is, and I found a way to measure it. But we're not quite there yet. So let me explain what it is. The part that makes up your soul and your past lives. So there is this Sanskrit word called the Atman, Atman. And it means like self or breath. In Hinduism, you'll find this word a lot. It's like basically referred to as a universal self, and the eternal core of the personality. Now they say the eternal core after the personality, after death, either transmigrates to a new life or attains release from the bonds of existence. So they're pretty much talking about the soul. But for me, what the Atman is it's your eternal core essence. And this is something that you're going to take from life to life to life to life. And at the base of it, this is what makes up your thought processes, your personality. When you come into a new body, into a new experience, you're going to always have the culture. You're going to learn how to adapt to your new environment. And you're going to be taught what you think, how to act, how to feel, things like that. However, there is this thing that people don't realize yet, that I call it the anthropology of Atman. But basically, it's the study of your core essence and how it translates into your existences throughout history. So, for example, let's take Ramses and talk about his Atman. Okay. No matter where he goes, what he does, where he incarnates, no matter what planet he incarnates on, he will have these core characteristic traits until he chooses to change them at the soul level. And no matter how he is brought up, in what culture, in what thought, those things all have to filter through his Atman, his core essence. And his core essence is one of stubbornness. It's one of genius. It's one of ignoring and changing the subject on things that he doesn't want to talk about. It's like these little teeny tiny characteristic traits that make you up. And so when you know what someone's Atman is, And you can see it because when you look in someone's eyes, you can see the soul. And this is how people recognize people from past lives, because they say the eyes are the soul. Wait, the eyes are the window to the soul. And it's very true. When you look at someone, you can recognize if you know them. But when you are with someone for a while, you recognize, if you know them throughout their existences, you can recognize their core soul traits, their core soul essence, which is their Atman. And so as I was going through actually writing the book, it was so interesting how, because I talk with Ramses daily, like in spirit form, and I have a fractal of him here that I've spent so many years with, it's so interesting to see the correlations of things that don't change. They don't change. And so you can come into a different continent, a different religion, a different set of belief systems. But the way you handle it and your brain processes these things, it has to go through your core essence first. And that determines how you outwardly handle the situation. So I don't know. Did I complicate it? Does it make sense?
I think it makes a lot of sense. Temple just introduced me to the concept of the Atman the other day, and it makes sense why we kind of go through the same cycles and issues in all of our past lives up to the current life, because at the core, we have the same traits and we have the same idiosyncrasies that can make us talented and make us excel in a lot of things, but can also bring us through a lot of the same traumas and issues lifetime after lifetime after lifetime.
Exactly. And a good explanation of this would be, a good example of this would be, so in general, a lot of times, like, Ramses chooses to incarnate into experiences with high positions, or well-known families or military things. Okay, like, that's just his choice. He chooses to do that. And throughout it all, he has this stubbornness, and how he uses his stubbornness in each existence depends on what his life, how his path goes, and like what he needs to do in that life. So if you take away the ruler and you take away the military person, there was this experience where he had just gotten married after people didn't want, or like the family didn't want him married to this woman. And he, at that time, was a normal person. He was a semi-wealthy family, but he was a normal person. And these two people ran away together. He had been studying for, today we call it like becoming a doctor. I don't know but in that time he was going to become a doctor. And he told me that in that life experience, he knows he's stubborn. And so he took that Atman trait of his stubbornness, and instead of using it in previous ways that he did in his past experiences, he used it to push through and not let anything stop him, as far as taking to the books and making it as quickly as he could through medical school. And so he said that even though when you talk about the Atman, like stubbornness, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. And how you choose to use it in your life experiences determines kind of what it is. Like, sometimes the stubbornness is a not so great thing. But in this experience, he used it in a very positive way. And so he was able to use that Atman trait of his to whiz through getting his doctor license. And so hopefully that helps you guys a bit more and understanding how things can vary. Like there's various forms of stubbornness. You know, everything is like a polarity, right? And like the goal is to like not be so polarized. But all right, so let's move on. Oh, and we were going to mention too that the ego is different than the Atman. So like people may say Ramses has this big ego, right? But like it's an ego only. How do I want to say this? It's not ego as we think it's ego. It's his core soul traits. And that's different. So because he's stubborn, he can have ego in that specific experience, but that stubbornness does not come from his ego. It comes from his core soul traits. And that's something totally different. And that's confusing. And we can talk about that a little bit later. So we have a couple. Oh, Solar's here. Hey, Solar. It's nice to see you. So Jim McGinns, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, says, I have been told that Ramses II didn't like my advice. I was more reasonable. That doesn't surprise me either. So do you guys have any questions about any past experiences that you maybe want clarification on, or maybe we could pull a card for you, or if there's a specific something that you're trying to heal from that you know is based in a past experience and you would like some more information on that, write it in the comments, and so we can help you.
Yes, please do. I feel there's either someone watching now or someone who will watch this that knows of a past experience you had when you were a regal female. I'm getting princess vibes. The energy of a princess. I don't know if that's what they would be called, but if you have a question about this being is here and they have information or some advice for you. So please write if you are this person, because I feel this energy here really strongly right now.
I would love to. I hope they do write, because I would love to have her come through and explain things. So also we were going to talk about free will. Do you want to talk about free will, or do you want to, I guess, where do we want to go from here?
How many topics? We have free will is on there. We also have a soul retrieval thing that's on there. But I think that the free will aspect is important, probably before we talk about what is a soul retrieval? Why do people need to do soul retrieval sometimes? It's interesting within the group that me and Temple work in. It's me, Temple, and our friend Matei. You might have seen him on the channel a couple of months ago. He's very smart and very high divine masculine. But we've all been wondering, because we've been going through these past lives where we get treated terribly and we get tortured and we get killed and abused in all of these terrible ways. Is this the kind of line that we're going in, Temple, about the free will?
Yes.
Plan and all of that. Okay. And we've been asking each other, why would God allow us to go through these cycles so many times? We've tried to come down on the earth and do this mission so many times, and we've just gotten burned and our soul has gotten chipped away at each and every time. Why would he allow this to cycle so many times? And Temple and I received the answer that God has a divine plan for all of us when we come into any particular lifetime, but he can't intervene on our own free will or the free will of others. We can do our best to follow his plan, and maybe we can follow it to the T, how he wanted us to do it. But then there's always the oppositional side that can step in and put a gun at our head and kill us. And there's nothing that God can do about that. So people have this question often, why did my soul go through so much? Why did God allow this to happen? God allowed it to happen because he created the universe, or much of the universe, with the concept of free will, and he honors his own laws and he honors the universal laws. And no matter how much he might be sad and be crying tears of despair for us, watching us go through these things over and over again, he can't intervene on the free will of others, because that is how our matrix is set up. He can't come in and put his hand in front of somebody. So I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but we've been talking about this a lot lately.
Yeah, I definitely think you are. And like, this is one of the things where you you have the soul contract and you come in and you think, okay, this time it's going to go exactly like I planned, but it doesn't. And then this next life you have, you're looking back on this life and you're like, how did this ever get so far off track? I just don't understand. And then when you're viewing it, you're realizing that you have a set design or a set ending point of where you want to get. And everyone around you has their ideas of what they want you to be, where they want you to be, and what they want to take from you. And so it becomes this game almost, and I hate to put it that way, but where people forget they have this free will and they can say no, or they can try to use their free will in a way in which only is positive for them. But if you're sleeping, right, and somebody chooses their own free will to come and kidnap you, like that, all of a sudden your path is thrown off. And it's not like God allowed it. It's not like you allowed it. I mean, that's like one of those, you did allow it, but that's like one of those slip ups where free will gets really tricky, because you have to know how to assert yourself and stand in your power here on this planet and assert your free will in order to keep you on the straight and narrow path, because everybody else has their own idea of what they want for you. And so you see this all the time in commercials and such. And like, I have this friend who had these ideas of where his life should go, except he didn't realize that because he was involved in the super soldier program, they had all these switches in him and they were controlling his free will. And so it's one of these things where being here is tricky. Understanding how this planet works is tricky. So in order to have the best possible life that you can have when you like look back on this in your past lives, is to not only understand your core soul essence, what you're here to do, but also understand how everything can interfere with you. And now, because of that, you're left a couple lives down the line figuring out how to help heal this thing that you don't even know where it came from. Come to find out that, you were either, your energy around you was either manipulated and you didn't realize it, and it allowed you to feel crappy, and the next thing you know, you're sick. There's so many things that can happen, or like in Maggie's case, in my case, where like you want the best for your life and you're really working hard, and then the next thing you know, somehow you're tied to a stake, and you're like, how did this happen? And then we're like, oh, like you trusted somebody and they gave you something to drink and everything went hazy. So it's this very complicated, I don't know, chess game of how free will works. And then that in turn has a great effect on your past lives and your current life. Your past lives have a great effect on your current life, as far as things you're suffering from, things you think and feel, but have no idea why you're thinking and feeling these things. Okay, so Jim McGinnis says that he says, call me Jim or James, and I'm very connected to Princess Diana.
Oh, Jim, that makes so much sense. I was like, is this like, it makes sense that it's Diana. I was feeling this intense energy of goodness, like Glinda the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz, that energy. She was showing me, let me try to figure out what energy she's trying to send to you. I'm going to send you the energy that she's trying to send. Yeah, we will hold this energy. She's showing me the image of her taking the crown off of her head and placing it on someone else's head upon a throne. And to my knowledge, I don't know all of the ins and outs of Diana's life, but she's saying this is more of a metaphor than anything. She's saying that She had such a spark of goodness within her. She had such a spark of wanting to be something bright and beautiful for the world. And hold on, I want to get her words right. I wanted to be good. I wanted to be a beacon of hope. I wanted to be great, but I let them whittle me away. I let them kick my feet out from under me. I gave so much to the wrong people that I became a shell, that I became a pawn, and that spark of goodness within me, that spark that wanted to be something bright for others, that wanted to be a bright light in the world, was dimmed and dimmed and dimmed until I felt like a skeleton within myself. She wants you not, if you're doing this in your life, if you are trying so hard to be bright for other people that you are losing yourself, be bright for yourself, she's saying. It's enough for you to be bright for yourself. Your heart is so big. I feel this energy between my solar plexus and my sacral. So it's like this nurturing energy that's coming up from your sacral, that's going out through your solar plexus. It's so beautiful. And I can feel this energy that Diana shares with you. Perhaps she's a fractal of yours. And it's so good. And she's cradling it like a little baby. She wants you to nurture it and to share some of that with yourself. She wants you to hold it close. She's saying that some people that you're giving this energy to, they don't deserve it, and they drain you like a vampire. She wants to send you her love. She wants to send you the brightness of that spark that was within her, that is within you. And she doesn't want you to be careful who you shine on, my love. Be careful who you shine on. Not everyone deserves the full brightness of your light. If you feel yourself being dimmed by those around you, turn off the light for them and shine it on yourself. That's what she's saying. And she really is trying to send you this loving energy. So I'm going to take a moment and send this to you, should you choose to receive it. Do you feel that, Temple?
I do, yeah. And I also have Michael behind me, and I was like, you have to step back. I'm like trying to help with this Diana energy. And so he's here helping send it to you as well.
She's saying, sometimes you are too good for the world, my dear. And she loves that about you. Your goodness, she loves that about you. She's saying, thank you for sharing my energy. And once again, she wants you to know how very, very loved you are, and how very much your light is seen. Even if in this moment you don't feel like people see it, there's so many upstairs who love you and who do see it.
So beautiful.
She really has that mother love.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I hope that was helpful. Hope it was applicable, and I hope that you received the energy in the way that you needed it.
That was really beautiful. How fun. How fun to, like for so often people want, like, quote, famous people to come through and talk about all these things. But it's so wonderful just to have somebody well known on this planet to come through and share their energy and have it be all of this downloaded information in the energy, and kindness and compassion and strength and love. Michael's like, love. Don't forget about the love.
I'm so glad Michael's here now too.
I know. And this is the first time in a very long time I felt him like standing behind my chair. And he was like, when you were talking, he was like, I know, I know your topic is past lives, but I could say all kinds of stuff to what Princess Diana is saying right now about how people try to take, and how wanting to be that bright light is, what did you say? There's a great difference between giving your light away freely without the greater understanding and knowledge of how it can be used and manipulated and taken away. The world needs light, but yet that is one of the greatest downfalls and pitfalls of the light workers on this planet today, is that they so freely allow without checking themselves and checking the energy around them and understanding the bigger picture at play. This is something that is running rampant, and this energy that so many are sending out in love and light is being siphoned and then misused in terrible ways that are anything but what the original giver intended. And this leaves giving is one of the core, what? Giving is one of the core traits of the heart, and we are supposed to give, but we need to understand that we can't give everything away. We can't give everything away, because giving ourselves away makes us a shell. Oh, and now he's saying makes us a shell, which then complicates our next lives. So he's saying this does go into the whole past lives. This does go into the past life things, because he says when you've given everything in this life, and you're left with your well dried up, in your next life, the dried up well becomes easily becomes an addiction, and after so many lives, you wither away to dust.
That makes sense.
From what you and I understand, it makes complete sense.
It really does.
And this is something, the Atman is something that we were talking about, where it's this core essence of your soul. But that Atman is made up of all of your existences. It's who you are. So Ramses may be stubborn, but the reasons that he is stubborn is not what you think it would initially be. It's much more complicated than that. And it's actually very sad and very painful. And I think once we understand these concepts of what makes up the essence of the soul, what carries on from past lives to this life, we can look then at someone else's stubbornness and realize that it's a survival mechanism more than anything, and it's based in pain. And
Right.
so many lives, I guess it's kind of like what Michael was saying. So many lives of that leaves you very drained, like dust, like dust. Yes, like dust.
And you would say the same of those of us who people perceive to have more positive aspects. I think this energy of giving that Princess Diana and Michael were talking about, that's our survival mechanism, especially many people who come in as light workers or people who are here to be of service to others. The original idea of wanting to be of service is positive and self-empowered, but if that's in your ought-in and people abuse that and people see that that's something to exploit in you, it can become a survival mechanism. People will only see me and people will only love me and people will only acknowledge me if I'm doing something for them, if I'm caring for them. And I have to give and give and give and give because I'm not good enough if I'm not giving. It gets all twisted up on the earth plane. All of these Atman characteristics that are supposed to make us strong and sovereign, the world, the matrix, the way that we're indoctrinated, twist those things around to be something other than it was the original intention in the soul.
This is why Peter's with you now, because he was saying, I did both. He said, I gave to myself and I gave to the people. And he said, I balanced, or he said, I tried to balance that whole giving and receiving thing. And so I can totally see how it's applicable with you now as you're working on these new concepts.
Oh,
well done, Peter. Well done.
Thank you, Temple. That was like an epiphany moment for me right now. That makes so much sense.
Right?
I'm working on this right now, you guys. I've been brought to my attention through many harsh lessons that I give too much and I thought that it was a positive thing, but I was draining myself to a point where I just didn't want to do anything anymore. So what Temple is saying is applicable because I'm very, very, very applicable because these are the exact lessons I'm learning right now.
Thank you, Diana, for coming through with that, because I think that's helped a lot of us.
Yes.
Michael was also saying, he's like, if you want, I can give you a list of all the things to look for with past life problems, or like how to recognize past life problems. And I was like, okay, give me your list. And he's like, the first one is relationships. He says, if you're in a relationship with someone, whether it's a friend relationship, a family relationship, and you have great emotion with them, and it seems like no matter what, whether it's working through it or being together and I guess working through it, you can't heal it, you can't fix it, that this is more than likely a past life problem, a past life issue. He was saying that like compulsive things that people do can be past life issues. I suppose that would be like thoughts. I suppose like that could be like thoughts too, or like, I don't know, I was thinking like stealing, like kleptomaniac, is that what that's called? When you like constantly feel like you have to steal things. I'm seeing the picture in my brain is of somebody like in an old-fashioned market, an old market, stealing. And it's not that they want to steal, it's that they're stealing because they're destitute, they're poor, they're hungry. And when this happens lifetime after lifetime, all of a sudden this life, like you're okay, but you don't understand why you have this like need to like steal. So I don't know where that past life popped into, but that's what came with that. Do you have any other tips? Is Princess Diana still there? Does she have any like tips for recognizing past life traumas?
Oh, she's so sweet. She's like, darling, I try to stay out of the traumas now, and I just try to give love.
Her and Freddie should get together if they haven't.
I
I think
know.
oh my gosh. And Michael is saying a lot of this has to do with thought processes, people's thought processes, and how they feel, but they don't. There's nothing tangible with it. How you have to really latch onto that feeling and follow that feeling, and really follow the thought process or the heart of like why you're feeling this. He said it's even simple things like he was saying, like Princess Diana was saying, always having to please people. That is something that the lower energies in our society and world for millennia have been working on all of you for. Like, it's not just this pleasing people, but it's this giving of self until there's nothing left. He said that what? That is one of the biggest past life issues of cycles to heal, because once people can stop that, then they can start filling themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
I had a past life problem once where speaking of like stealing things from the grocery store, I would always buy a crazy amounts of like vegetables and fruit. And I could never eat these, but like it was this weird thing. I had to fill my cart with them until I realized when I did this soul retrieval, maybe we can talk about that next, where I went back in and I tried to see why I was doing this. And it was like it was a past life where I starved. And probably now that we know, it's more than one past life. So it's this thing of like comforting those broken pieces of you inside, where you can now, but you just don't understand why you need so many green peppers, you know? So does anybody else have any questions about their past experiences? And Jim, I would really love to know, I don't know if Ramses is here. No, he's not here, but I would really love to know what advice he didn't like, because I would like to not nag him about it, but I would like to see what his what he has to say about it, if he remembers it or not. But that's the thing, like when you're over on the other side, you have access to all these memories, but they fade very fast. So unless it's like something you actually go look up, it's not like you always can remember all these things in your past lives. So you want to talk about soul retrieval?
Yes. Those of you who are not familiar with the idea of soul fragmentation and soul retrieval, I'm sure that I don't know everything about it. I'm not a shaman, and I'm not someone who's an expert in this. But as far as I understand it, it's that in certain lifetimes, or over the span of many lifetimes, there can be a part of you that goes through so much trauma that your soul literally fragments it off, so that it's not attached to you anymore, because it's caused so much pain. For example, the first time I went through a soul retrieval was this experience where this Native American grandfather gave me back this piece of myself that was able to connect with other people, because in a past life I had been a shaman of a tribe, and I had tried to give the best advice I could to connect with them, to be a leader, to be able to connect. I have a hard time connecting with people in this life. And it had caused the downfall of the tribe, and it had caused me to be exiled, and I think I froze to death. So that life was so traumatic for me that I decided that this part of me that can connect with people brings so much pain, that I'm going to fragment that off from my soul. So I'm going to make it so I can't connect with people in the following lives, because I cannot relive that trauma again, because that's what my soul decided at the time that it needed to do. I don't know if it happens consciously. Maybe it even happens unconsciously, that your soul just lets it go because it can't hold the pain. But a soul retrieval is if you're if you're like me, if you find yourself chronically unable to connect with people in this lifetime, you find yourself unable to be part of a group, unable to connect with people on any level, maybe you have a piece that's missing from a past lifetime or many past lifetimes where your soul fragmented a certain part of you. And you can call these pieces back if you have an awareness of what is missing and you are prepared to integrate those pieces back. Soul piece integration is not always easy. You have to, there's often pain that comes up, a pain that maybe you didn't process from the past life that comes up. You can have physical, it's not very, very scary. It's like ascension symptoms. We get ascension symptoms, we get energetic symptoms. You get symptoms often retrieving soul pieces back. But as far as I understand it, that's how soul retrieval works. There's many ways to perform a soul retrieval. Essentially, you are inviting the piece back and welcoming it back. And there's many kinds of journeys and meditations you can go through to do so. But the energetics of it is this.
Yeah, and I actually just went through one not last night, but the night before, where this actually this soul retrieval stuff can sometimes fall into your Atman characteristics, because when it happens, like for Maggie, it's happened in various ways, life after life after life after life, and so it becomes embedded in your core essence of feeling this way, of feeling like I can't relate to people. And so when you go through these retrievals, you can call them back. And I went through one the other night where my people have really been working with me to let myself relax and take off my armor, because I have always been in, how did you say that, Maggie? I have been in like warrior mode for so many eons of lifetimes that not only can I not trust people, I can't relate to people. I kind of isolate myself. I like that isolation, but I really need to get out. And I'm all about protecting me and my loved ones. Like that's the only thing that is important to me. And so it really becomes this armor that I have worn for so many eons. And when I did my soul retrieval, what I did is I knew I had to work on my sacral chakra and my root chakra. So I put on YouTube, I put on a sacral chakra meditation, and it's just the music and the waves and stuff. And then I lit one candle and I got comfortable in bed, and I just listened to the music and asked for protection. I asked for my teams to come in, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I had this thought process of just being ready to release this and call these other things back, that when you're hanging on to stuff from past lives, it doesn't allow, like if this is you hanging on to something, there is no room for new things to come in. You have to release that in order for new things to come in. So by me having all of this armor on constantly, life after life after life after life, it has become a part of me in a way that I couldn't even fathom. And so there was Ra, like in my meditation, and I didn't even see anything this time. It was, well, I did, but I didn't see this part. So he and like a whole bunch of people were around me, and they were like gently talking me to realize that it's okay. And they were going over these past experiences with me and saying like, this is the now, you can release it. And I'm like, I can't. So then Ra came forward and he's like, just give me your breastplate. And he couldn't take the breastplate because either I was still hanging onto it, or it was so fused into me, the me that I saw anyway, that when I finally was like, okay, you can have it, I started hyperventilating a little bit and like crying. And it was this massive healing. And he literally had to peel it off. And like, it was, it was kind of gruesome, but it was weird because I could feel the release of that. And because I released it, then I could feel the healing of like how my astral body in that meditation, that metaphorical meditation, looked. And so I was able to heal that. And this is just one of the ways you can do. The other thing that I did recently is not having a name. Going through all my experiences with the people taking away my free will and making me believe that I'm no one or nothing, or, that I always come in as an orphan. I always come in as adopted. I always I don't have a name. In this lifetime, I've had like 4 or 5 names. I've had a couple birth certificates with different names. I don't have a name, but I have a name now. And I know who my core soul is. And so it's been this whole patterning, life after life after life after life, to get me to this point of having our people being like, you have this name, they've wanted you to believe you don't, but at the core soul of your essence, you have a name. And if you can stand in that name and realize it, then you know that God loves you. You're worth more than what you think, because not having a name. This one woman told me this one time, that a name is a very powerful thing. And when she's like, "What's your name?" and I gave her all these different names. I wasn't trying to be cocky, but it probably came off like that. And she said, "Look at yourself." She said, "How ironic is that? You're such a being, such a powerful being, but you don't have a name." She's like, "Don't you realize what they've done to you?" And I was like, "No, I don't." But it took me probably where are we? 10 years to realize what that all meant. And so it's these small things of past life experiences, pulling back your essence of who you really are. So does Ra want to come in and give his talk?
Ra?
I think now would be a good time if he's okay with that.
Yes, my daughters, I am here. I really need to use the bathroom. I've been drinking all this water. I will be back in 20 seconds.
Okay. So when we do this meditation, I don't know what Ra's going to do, but later on in the program, we will give you guys codes if you want to do your own healing, if you want to do your own soul retrieval. And we will give you guys codes to do that. And when we do that, Maggie and I always put our hands up and our feet on the floor. So feel free to do that with us if you choose to receive them, because we really want to help you guys heal. And the chat hasn't been very active. So it doesn't look like there's anyone who wants any cards pulled or to ask any questions. I mean, feel free if you do, because that's why we're here. If you, I was thinking, if you know that you struggle with something, we can actually pinpoint a specific life that we could find out where it comes from, and then, why it was done, or help you really understand that piece so you can pull it back. So if you feel comfortable doing that, that would be great. Otherwise, it's okay. And I think until Maggie comes back, do you guys have anything that you have questions for Ra specifically? I don't know if he's taking questions tonight, but if he is, he will let us know.
I'm back.
Perfect timing. I'm going to shut the door real quick because the cats decided they wanted to come in and open the door. So I will be right back.
Okay. Ra is saying, you guys, if you have any questions about where you are on your path right now, he's saying this is a very important time for death and rebirth. Eclipses, especially around this time of the year, when in the northern hemisphere at least the sun goes away. It's a period of death and rebirth, especially in this year. So if you are feeling like your life doesn't make that much sense anymore, but you're having all of these new inspirations that don't really quite seem possible, that is very, very normal. And if you're looking for advice about your path, or perhaps how your past lives relate to that path, if there's any wisdom from past lives that you would want, he's saying, I am not one, this is so like Ra, I am not one to entertain egotistical questions about past lives. Ra is very straight to the point and very about business. He's very hard on me in Temple about this all of the time. But if he can give you any information or advice about that, he said that he's willing to do that. And he's saying, I will not give too many specifics, my daughters can do that. So we can pull some cards for you guys and get information for you guys. But if you want a message from Ra, if you have a question for him and you want to hear it from the man, please put it in the chat, and I will do my best to channel his energy and his words to you.
And Ra is all about healing. So while, you know, he's more like, I'm not going to tell you who you were or what you did, but I can tell you what happened and help you heal from it. That's more of like where he's coming from. So not to be nervous about like Ra being Ra, because he's just Ra, but he really wants to help everybody heal. And so feel free to to ask those type of questions. And Carla actually says, hi, can you pull a card for me or any messages? Thanks. So,
okay. Ra, what should we do first? He's saying, if I can give my message closer to the end, that would be more appropriate. I want my daughters to work their magic before I speak.
oh,
Very Ra.
Okay. All right. Yes, we will be very happy to pull cards for you.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have any specific topic or question? And, you know, it doesn't have to be past lives. I mean, that's just our topic today. But did you have any specific place you wanted us to go with your question? Also, it'll help me know what deck to use too.
What is her question exactly? What did she say?
Well, she doesn't have a question. She just has she says, can you pull a card for me or any messages? Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Oh, these are good ones for.
And if any of you, anyone else who's watching wants cards or information about past lives in this moment as we're doing this, Temple and I can do that for you. Temple's really good at seeing situations. She's good at looking into timelines, and I'm better. I can't really see, but I'm better at tapping into the energies of things. So combined, we can probably give you a pretty comprehensive answer.
And Maggie's really good about like the feelings and the emotions and things like that. So it works yin yang works pretty well. She says, how can I work toward my life path, better my health? So there's two questions. How can I work towards my life path and better my health?
Okay.
All right.
Let's see, what deck do I want to use? I want to use this deck.
We also, I know the last time or the time before we were on, we were showing you some of our decks, but we actually got new decks. Actually, Maggie got a lot of new decks since then.
So it's free.
Also, we apologize for the last time. We weren't able to come on. They took away our little bulletin board. Otherwise, when something comes up, we always try to post like why we can't make it. But unless we have 1,000 subscribers, we don't get our little bulletin board back. So we apologize for that. I can update it on the Temple Beautiful Facebook page. If I don't know if you guys even know that exists, because we don't do much with it, but it does exist. So if anything, you can always check there, and I will try my best to like update those things. So, all right. So Carla, how can I work towards my life path? That's my first question I'm going to ask. How can Carla work towards her life path? Oh, someone is telling me they're saying something like you have these feelings in your heart of where you want to go and what you want to do. And there's days where you think this is completely in sight for you. And there's other days where you really struggle with this because I don't know if it goes against like the belief systems or the society or like what you were trained to do or trained to feel like you need to do in this lifetime. And they're saying that you really need to pay a bit more attention to where your heart is directing you. Really? I don't know if you have like all these thought processes happening. And so it's kind of confusing. Like it's not just one, but she may have like a lot of thought processes. I don't know. Let me read the card first and then. All right. So this is the one I got for you, Carla. This is called the Ice Queen. Oh, of course, everything is reversed. Is it reversed? I can reverse them. Otherwise, this one's called the Ice Queen, and she's got an owl there. An owl is wisdom, and she is sleeping or laying on the ice. And it says, ideas preserved, non-action, entitlement. Number 28. 8 and 2 is 10. So that's where I always go first. Yeah, okay, that's what they were saying. She's many thought processes. Okay. They're saying like her heart kind of knows what she wants to do, but she's got all these thought processes that are like jumbling it all up. So 28, 8 and 2, because I'm into numerology stuff, is a 10, which is an ending and a beginning. So this card says the Ice Queen, and you got it right side up, which is an ally. It says the Ice Queen has come to block your movement for your highest good. Let your ideas be preserved until later. You can thaw them out and use them at another time when they will best serve. The realm of the Ice Queen is a place of non-action, and now is the perfect time to take a look at how far you've come and to ask yourself for re-clarification of your highest goals. Oh, that's why they're saying you need to really focus in with the heart, that the mind is like jumbling all of this up. And it's like in there, you just have to focus on it. It says, not all your plans can be accomplished at this moment. In fact, putting them on ice allows for the perfect timing later on. Don't be too hasty in trying to reach your goal. An even better one will present itself if you surrender and spend the winter with the Ice Queen. That's kind of cool. Perhaps you're trying to do too many things at once. This is a good occasion to choose only one thing to focus on and let the Ice Queen put the others in a deep freeze until a more appropriate time. She'll let you know when the time is to let them thaw. So that is the card that I got. What did you get?
This makes sense. I got them. This deck is interesting. It's called the Tarot of the Divine. It's all the cards are based on different fables and mythologies from different cultures. I got them the Nine of Cups for you here, and I got the King of Swords for you. Let me just read both of the cards and I will tell you how I'm interpreting them. This Nine of Cups, let me hold it up. I think I've gotten this card for Temple before.
Yes, that's a very interesting card.
Yes, it's based on the fable of Taj al-Muluk and the Princess Dunya from Iran, an Arabic folktale. The Nine of Cups represents a happy ending achieved in unexpected ways. Prince Taj al-Muluk fell in love with Princess Dunya, but she refused men. He used trickery, disguising himself as a woman in order to win her heart. And you got them the Ten of Swords. I usually don't read cards like this by the book, but I mean the King of Swords, but I think these stories are interesting and they might mean something to you as I'm reading them. This is the Griffin, Persian mythology. The King of Swords represents wisdom enhanced by power. The Griffin is a noble and intelligent creature, soaring over land and sea, a symbol for patience, perseverance, and judgment. My reading of these cards is that, let me know if I'm wrong about this, but my reading of what your situation is that you have a life that probably other people might envy. It might seem outwardly like you have a lot of things together and that you don't want for too much, or that's how you present yourself to people or how they perceive you. But there is this part of you that is, how do I say this King of Swords who sees all of these energies that are going pretty well. Everything is going all right. There's nothing too much to complain about, but he wants something else. You have an idea in your mind right now, and it seems kind of radical. It seems like well, why do I want this? I should be happy with the things, how they're going on. Like I have a lot to be grateful for, but there's this will of the mind that is pulling you in a different direction. There is some King of Swords energy, this griffin who is whispering something in your ear about some different kind of destiny, some different kind of desire, some different kind of place that you want to go. This is probably a secret of your heart that you haven't shared with a lot of people because it seems radical. But as Temple is saying, I think that you shouldn't be hasty in any of your decisions. However, whatever idea that you're having wants to come in really strongly, and it wants to bring you into a new place. So don't push down any urges or desires that you're having because they don't seem to fit in, because this is pulling you towards something that is a higher path of destiny or a higher mission path for you. So while you shouldn't act too much on, your mind is very, very busy mulling over all these thought processes and ideas, but there's something there that is pulling you towards something new. What they keep saying in my head is you don't have to settle. You can have all of the things that you want. Focus your heart on the image of your life that you would really want, and you will magnetize that towards you. I'm not sure what it is. It seems like it could be many things, like how Temple was saying, but that's the message that I'm getting.
I also pulled some these, what are they called? Galactic healing cards. And I got 4 of them. And the first one that came out was spiritual technology. And it's present from the Vega. And so I double checked on this for you, but they're saying that whatever is clouding your mind, whatever is throwing all of these ideas at you or making you feel like you can't focus in the heart of the matter, that if you ask your teams and your guides to help you clear your mind to be able to focus on your heart, that they will help you with that. They're saying all you have to do is ask. So we also got this card, Embracing Family, upside down. And I asked about it, and it seems like what Maggie was talking about, who's ever putting those ideas in your head, or that person, like, didn't you say that there's this like somebody, some person or something happening that's like is wanting her to go in these directions, or like maybe I didn't understand that right. But what I think this is I think that this is a person in your life that is causing some of this frustration, and feeling like you either need to think about these things that, they feel you should be doing, or, and this is the Enlightenment card. That is causing you to not really have enlightenment, because what you need to do is you need to get rid of all those extra thoughts that everybody is pushing on you. And you need to focus in on you.
I agree. And in my life, it's a semi-similar situation. It feels like sometimes you shouldn't want more, or you shouldn't think that you need to ask for more, because by normal standards, everything is good and everything is peachy from the outside. But it's not wrong to want something more, and it's not wrong to want something more even if nobody is directly opposing you and nobody is bringing you down and no one is cracking the whip at you. Just to keep the peace, you're keeping yourself small. Don't feel like you need to do that. Your desires are important. Where your heart is pulling you is important. Don't keep yourself in a certain energy or a certain situation just because it's comfortable for everybody else. You need to do what is best for you.
Yeah, she says she was born into an ultra Mormon family. So there is a lot of stuff there. Yeah, I can understand that. So yeah, I mean, I could go into it, but I think that we'll leave it there. And you can always contact Maggie to, what is your email address?
My email address is maggieestes, MAGGIEESTES @protonmail.com. If you have any questions or want tarot or a channeled session or anything.
Yeah, book a session or anything like that. Jim, do you have any questions? Oh, well, Carla's next question was, how can I better my health? But I think those things the problem with your health is that you can't have good health because if you're constantly stressed and feeling like you have to conform to what everybody else wants you to conform to, I mean, that lowers your immune system. So I'm not sure if that's what could go into it or if it's something specific. Did they say anything to you?
What I'm seeing is that your mind is just under a lot of stress. All of these thought processes are at times conflicting, and the mental body is directly related to the emotional body, which is directly related to the physical body. So if your mental body is in stress, it's affecting your emotional body, which feels the stress, which manifests in your physical body as unwellness or issues with your health. I'm not picking up right now on a specific issue that you might have, but do some meditation to free your mind. Go out in nature and just let yourself breathe. Just let yourself be. It's okay. This is what they're saying, to just let yourself breathe and turn your mind off for a little while. You don't have to be thinking and mulling over these things in your head all the time. They really want you to give yourself some space to feel the freedom of peace. So please schedule time in your day or in your week or whenever you have time this is my peace time. I'm going to feel some peace for myself, and that should uplift your energy, they're saying, quite a bit.
Carla, so Jim has a question. I don't know. Hopefully he writes it down. And then Carla had a question, but I want to see where she's.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
What about him? Please clarify.
Yeah, please clarify about the Mr. T thing. She says, I have a tight jaw on my right side, like TMJ. It's what's bothering me the most. Well, at like face, without even like looking into anything, we can say that tight jaws come in from clenching teeth, which come in from stress. And so the right side is what side? Masculine, feminine?
Masculine.
It's the masculine side. So just from those, if you're having problems with some masculines in your life, if you're having problems with your masculine side of you, Carla says he said he wanted to say something at the end, Mr. T. It was, let's see, it was actually Raw. We don't work with Mr. T at all. It was Raw. It's always Raw. So yeah, it was Raw, not Mr. T. He came out as Mrs. There we go. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So we can actually, I can pull a card here to see if there's anything specific as far as something that you need to work on to let the jaw go. So what does Carla need to work on to help heal the jaw?
Oh, let's see. What is
generosity upside down?
You're too giving.
You're too giving, Carla. You're too giving.
I got death reversed, which I'm not sure quite how to read that right now.
Okay, so if it's reversed, it means, let me grab my book once really quick.
Let me get a clarifier for this. That's it.
Okay, it's okay, Carla. I have a personal thing with him, so that's probably why my voice changed. It's not a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna just look up death real quick. Because usually when you get death in the tarot, it's not like actual death. It's like go ahead.
You it's related to temples. You work so hard for everybody else that I think you're being called to go through
Like
a metaphorical death right now, but you're not. You're so tied up in what everyone else thinks and working for them that that's all that you're looking at. And this new energy of rebirth wants to come out of you. You have these new ideas. You have some new passion springing up in your heart. Let that happen. Let the death happen. Let what needs to fall away, fall away. Let that tension go. You need to release all of these tensions, and then the new energy will emerge.
So this is so interesting. When Maggie and I, we've talked about this before in our other videos, but when Maggie and I read tarot cards, we actually try to give them our own meanings based on like what the general symbolism is. But I'm still learning that. And so every once in a while, I like to look them up, which is totally cool too. And this one says, when death is reversed, it suggests some kind of stasis in the querent's life, perhaps because he or she is not open to change. So I would, and maybe it's not necessarily that you're not open to it, it's that you're really scared of it. And that's where a lot of people are right now. Like they see all these things that are there for them in this other path, but they're still at this fork of the road. And it's just very scary because especially when like the way you grew up in, I can completely understand how stepping out on your own, being your own person, that's a very scary thing. But we're here for you to support you. You can totally do it. And also remember, call on your teams and your guides, and they will help you clear the brain. They will help you try to put things at rest a little bit more so you can feel more instead of think.
One final thing, they keep shoving stuff at me. If your jaw is so tense, you're holding so much in your jaw, well, now they're saying this, it's probably limiting your ability to speak your truth, which is very important for you. Part of your higher mission, I don't know where this is coming from, is to speak your truth because you have a lot of really important things to say, and it might not align with what the people around you think and believe, but it's really, really important, and people need to hear what you need to say. And they're saying that because it seems like you're a person that does tend to tense up. I'm one of these people too. Like I tend to be really tense all the time. Maybe you could do a meditation or just do a guided exercise with yourself where you feel into your whole body and feel where you're tensed up and breathe into those places, breathe in and relax into them to release the tension. It will release a lot of trapped energies that are holding you back. I do this all the time, and I've done a lot of good healing by just trying to relax the places that I notice that are tense, and that old energy goes, so then the new energy can come in. They're saying that that would be helpful for you.
Yep. And let's just go over some breathing techniques, Carla, just in case you're new to the whole breathing thing. Ra is really a proponent of this. You need to move your belly. So when you're breathing in, you take in big, big breaths and really move that belly. And then when you can hold it if you want, but then when you blow it out through the mouth. So it's really blow it out. Yes. And so the more you like, just like, that's not going to really help. You really need to blow it out. And do this as many times as you need to. Keep your eyes closed. It's always good if you plant your feet on the floor to do those things. And you know, today actually I do breathing a lot throughout the day because my job is kind of stressful sometimes. And so I'll just hold my hands like this, or I'll hold them like this, and I'll just sit here and go. And it seems really dramatic, but but you got to work with moving your belly. So if you don't know how to move your belly, that's one of those things they don't want you to do, because there's a lot of good things that happen when you move your belly and move that air in and out. And by not doing it, stuff stays stagnant in there and not.
Especially as women, we are used to tensing up our stomach so we can appear thin, because that's how they tell us that we need to be. So it took Raw yelling at me a lot of times to learn how to relax my stomach and just let it be. And if you can just do that, like how a child would, they don't worry about how their stomach is, they can relax it. You'd be surprised at how much in our abdomen we're tense and we hold so much there because we're told that we have to suck it in and look a certain way all the time. So the stomach thing, like Temple was saying, is a problem for many of us.
Yeah. And I grew up that way. I grew up, my grandma was a big proponent of like sucking in your belly. It is really important to sit up straight for energy and stuff. But it took me a long time to be able to realize how to move those belly muscles. And I had to like force myself to push my belly out. And it was very uncomfortable because that's not what society wants women to be. But that's how you're going to get that oomph to be able to start working those muscles. So try that, and that should help you. And then you can check in with us. So, okay. Oh, Jim says, Carla channeled that to me several days ago, Indian breathing techniques. Very cool. Okay. So Jim says, I feel like I'm letting people down. Like when I watch a movie and someone had a chance to save someone, but they couldn't, I cry, even if it's just a teddy bear. So he has this is a past life issue. I know it.
I have this issue too.
Yes. He has this mentality of somewhere in a past life or many past lives, you either wanted to save someone or you were tasked with saving someone in some way and you couldn't. And it is embedded in you, and we need to get to that so we can get it healed. Let me see it. Do you know what specific life it comes from? Otherwise, I will pull cards and we'll get a life for you. It was really fun. I could do this all night long.
I know, me too. Me and Temple are doing this constantly for each other. So to be able to have other people to do it for is very, very exciting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate your questions. All right. Jim, I'm going to go to the records and figure out what life that is for you. So what I need is I'm sure there's probably many lives of what is the main life that is currently affecting Jim and his wanting to save people and feeling like he can't or he's trying. What is that life? I'm going to mute myself just because my shuffling is really loud.
I'm trying to pick up on the energy of it as Temple is shuffling about it.
I can tell you what I got so far.
Please.
Okay, let me do one more.
Oh, he's saying he was a brother to Poseidon, or was him. It's a bit murky. Did you see that?
Oh. Who was him? It's a bit murky. Okay, so this is what I have. Oh. All right, so I have not necessarily put it together yet, so just I'm going to give Maggie the basics. So what I have is that there was either he was illegitimate and orphaned, or that there was, it says obsessive lover, illegitimacy, orphaned, torture, high Middle Ages, murder, and caretaker. So what they were telling me or they were showing me pictures of it actually, was that you in this life, it says high Middle Ages. I actually have to look that up, high Middle Ages. But you were orphaned because you were illegitimate, you were orphaned, and this place that you were put in, you became the caretaker of all these children. And not only did they torture and murder in this orphanage. Now, Maggie and I, we have stories of these things happening too in orphanages. So, and especially you said being a brother to Poseidon or being him, there's a lot of this stuff that happens without getting too much into it. But anyway, you were the caretaker of the children there, and you were trying to save them, trying to come up with a way to save them and get everybody out, and get everybody free, but it didn't work. And they were torturing and murdering these children in front of your eyes. And yes, no?
I think that this is an issue that spans more than a single lifetime for you, because that's
what it is.
Yeah, it might be a soul fragment kind of thing, which is why you struggle with it. I don't want to say that you struggle, but that you have these feelings on such a deep level. I was picking up on a lifetime in the Arthurian age and perhaps in Camelot, where you were at night. I kept hearing the word lion-hearted. You were so lion-hearted. Your heart was so big. And to perhaps, I don't know how Camelot or the Arthurian times operated in terms of military, but you felt responsible for your knights or the other men who were fighting around you. And I'm seeing in my head, you were so big. You were like almost like a giant, like this big lion man. And you wanted to take care of all of the men around you, but there was some battle or maybe a succession of battles where the opposition just took your side down. It wasn't your fault. They had black magic on their side, and you felt like you should have had it within you to be able to save everyone. And I think they made you believe that it was your fault, but it's hard to fight against black magic. Temple and I know we've seen many lifetimes where we lost against black magic. So I think that this is one of the lifetimes it plays in. What?
Upside down. Oh yeah. Okay. Upside down, wars and battles. Mm-hmm. So I did, as soon as you started talking about the Crusade one, it came out. It came out as Crusades. It says Crusades and Inquisition. Easy target. And then it says snitch. So I'm like, I almost feel like somehow information was given away before the time. And so there was like very little time to prepare what happened. So I think these are two separate timelines. And this card it says saintly and caretaker. And I think you've just always been this person who wants to take care and keep people safe. And there's been a lot of times in a lot of lives where it gets taken out from underneath you, and then you feel like a failure. You feel like you didn't fulfill what you were supposed to fulfill. You didn't keep them safe, and all that burden is on your shoulders. There was also a biblical life as well. Oh, the mother card upside down. Oh. So, yep. Mm-hmm. So that is you wanting to do the mother hen thing, and it doesn't work. And I completely agree with Maggie. When I was asking about your lives, I I said, just give me like the one that's most affecting you in this moment. And they said there's many, but this is the ones, I guess this is the ones that are affecting you most in this moment, would be this orphan issue, the Crusade Arthur issue.
I'm seeing that, I agree with Temple. I'm seeing that if you wanted soul retrieval meditations and journeys, it's just, you're seeing metaphorical things that represent the energy. I think because of these lives, there's some badge of honor that you used to wear very proudly, that you felt that you were able to take care of everybody really, really well. And after these lifetimes happened and you were traumatized in these ways, the piece of your soul that's missing, it's like you rip that badge of honor off of yourself and you say, I'm not worthy, I can't do it, and I throw this away, kind of thing. And I'm seeing, I work very closely with King Arthur in this now, and he's holding it. So if you want to go into a journey or a meditation with him, he can help you reintegrate these energies so that you don't feel this void within you anymore. Because as I'm tapping into you, I can feel it in my heart, and it's so heavy, and it's just like sad, and you don't deserve to feel this way. You have the heart of a lion. Arthur is saying he has the heart of a lion. He deserves to feel it with him in himself. I want to hear him roar again. You are always doing the best that you could. You always did in these lives the best that you could. None of these things that happened were ever your faults. I'm sure that you know this. But if you can call this energy back to yourself, call this part back to yourself, that you knew that you were doing your best, that you weren't a failure, that what happens because of other people's free will on the other side doesn't reflect on you, then I think you might be able to move forward a little bit easier.
Oh, I pulled cards from the Galactic Heritage group again, and as Maggie was saying, that like this is you innately. You have these good intentions, and they're asking you right now to take a leap of faith, and work with some soul retrieval, work with feeling worthy, work with realizing that those part of this sometimes when I do soul retrieval is realizing that those were past lives. I mean, although there is no such thing as past because everything's in the present, but those are past lives. And when you realize those specific past lives and how they were affecting you, then you can realize you can step forward and help heal. So like, for example, the orphan life that came up, that was nothing that you couldn't have prevented that. That the fact that you were there for them to be the mothering hen and to protect them and to give them someone to feel safe with, that is a miracle. That is true love all in its own. That's what you need to focus on for that one. And it's like taking these past lives apart and realizing that it's not your fault. Like it's just the way the cards landed. But, and a lot of times the black magic side, the opposite side, that's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that the reason these things are happening is because you lack. The reason these things are happening is because you weren't prepared. When a lot of times they they program it or kind of usher you in such a way in which, like the orphan life, there was no way you could have prevented that. And you were probably doing your best with like the Camelot, the Arthur life. But if someone snitched your coordinates or someone that wasn't you gave out your positions ahead of time, that's not your fault that you couldn't be there to protect your comrades, your teams. That is not your fault. And so they're saying that because of this, that feminine principle was damaged. Mm-hmm. Feeling like you lack and you can't care and you can't, because if you care about somebody or something, you're going to damage it. And this is something that we deal with a lot. We've been dealing with a lot, but And it's something that needs to come to light. It's not about you caring and then having something damaged because you care. That's what they want you to believe, but that is not the truth. You caring with your men and with the other orphans, you are the one who is giving them a sense of peace, a sense of camaraderie, a sense of we can do this, we can stick together. And so that's what's really important to focus on. And then this pioneering spirit of trusting, taking that leap of faith, realizing what these lives were for what they really were. When you're in the life, see, that's the thing with these past lives. When you're in the life and you're viewing them from the person's eyes that you were, or feeling them from the person that you were, it's hard to see the big picture. It's hard to see that someone snitched out your coordinates. It's hard to see that there was plotting going on way back in these other rooms that you could have never seen. But when you step back from being in that moment of those past lives and being able to see the full picture and how all the cards fell in everybody's decks, then you can actually start to heal from it, because then you realize that it wasn't me who failed, the orphans, or failed my, I don't know. I need Ramses here to give me military terms. Failed my teams or my comrades. It was me who was mothering them, who is giving them that leap of faith, who is giving them that comfort that they needed, because this was going to happen anyway to them. So being in that moment with them and having that feminine, caring, comforting principle is so important. We don't want you to lose that. So we need to get this card right side up.
Right. And I'm right there with you, Jim. I really struggle with thinking that everything is my fault. And if somebody is unhappy or somebody is sad that's in my vicinity, then I could have done something better to help them. Or if someone is in pain, I could have done something. I feel like everything is personally my fault, that I could have fixed that. I could have made it better for them. I could have loved them enough that they would feel good. And Temple's had to coach me over the last year about this. And it's a really hard energy to come out of, because if you have a caring heart, it's hard to separate that feeling that you could have done more, and that maybe they wouldn't be feeling so bad if only you had done better. You need to reaffirm to yourself all the time, I did the best that I could. I'm doing the best that I can. And I'm a great person, and I love myself, and the people around me are getting exactly what they need from me. I can only give so much. But I just wanted to say that I can relate to you in that energy, because Temple knows I'm very much like that. And she's had to kick my ass about it a lot of times.
Isn't it funny how, like, you and I are kind of opposites in that, but like we were at extremes, and now we're coming together in the center, because I was kind of like in this warrior mode. Well, I was in this warrior mode of like, if they hurt you or they want to be that way, like that's them, like leave them alone. I don't care. Like, you are my number one to protect, and like I will burn down villages to protect you. But like you were on this opposite side of like, it's all my fault and I'm not worthy and blah, blah, blah. And so like together we've kind of been able to meet in the middle, where I'm learning more of her side and she's learning more of my side. And together it's balancing it out. So
yes, it's been very interesting changes that have happened in us. And we hope that we can bring you guys, or help bring you guys, to a balance that feels good within you too.
yes, exactly. So if any of you are watching who want to put a question in, feel free. I think we're caught up on our questions. And where are we for time? Let me just double check my mind.
We've been on for 2 hours already.
Oh, wow. Okay. So maybe it's a good time to end it then. I mean, we will definitely take questions if they pop up. Otherwise, we could hear what Ra has to say. And then, is he going to help us give codes? Or is he like, my daughters can do that? I could just see him being like.
Ra is saying, I have a short message because the time is late and the channels are not as fresh as they once were. For those of you guys who channel or you don't channel, you know that when you're bringing in information for an hour, 2 hours, hours at a time, you kind of just can't channel as good anymore after 2 hours as you could at the beginning of hour 1. So I think he's going to keep it short unless you guys have any specific questions for him, but I'm sure it will be full of raw sunshine and the raw method of getting everybody into the energy of their hearts.
I'm just responding to Jim here quick.
I'll get ready to channel.
Right. Oh, I was gonna also look up like what did I say the high Middle Ages? Is that or wait, high? Do you remember what I said?
What are you referring to?
I gave a time frame and it said I think it said high Middle Ages.
I think that's what you said.
Okay, let me just double check to see. I can always send it in the chat too. I just want to see what that actually means. Like a weird way for me to think about it. Okay. High Middle Ages. The High Middle Ages occurred around between 1000 and 1300. During this time, society became more social. Okay, blah, blah, blah. It's very interesting. So that is like King Arthur-y time too.
Yes.
So I could see if you had multiple, I could see that if you had multiple past experiences in this specific time frame, they can really make an imprint on you, especially when they drill that in over and over and over. That's something else that Maggie and I have learned, where you have a specific time frame, but you have numerous lives within that time frame, and the same thing constantly happens. And it's just drilled in and like embedded in you. And that's when it becomes a part of your admin and just gets all crazy. So, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Father.
Are we ready? Are there any more questions?
Sure. Carla does, but we'll do Roz.
You're muted.
So I was like, Rob, what's going on? And he's like, I'm sending people energy. I was like, can you tell people you're sending them energy? Because like there's this like lack of speaking. So hang on just 1 second. Okay. I'm going to Ra saying that we will come back on at some point in the week and give the codes as a separate transmission for the soul retrieval process, but that tonight he needs us to have a meeting with, of course. Okay. All right, so we are going to close off and we will talk to you guys next week. I will try and post on the Temple Beautiful. Thank you guys for following us. So sorry we have to go. This is like how Maggie and my lives are. But we're happy that we got to spend some time with you. And I'm going to send you away with the blessing. So, nihite skalakana de ishkutu hupujina de la hupujukata, ekataniela ekateshitu hulukhonata, bikete emik, anat ele shikatua patahana mujuto jakate esananlayete, muhutupu mahasata ala ete shananiaska. Namaste. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.